All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Doors. Hello, S1. Welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night, aka Mahoyo. Last time, Soujirou had a nice little talk with the vice president of the class, who seemed to be quite a jerk, but actually, when we learned the truth about his story, it was actually a bit less of a jerk. I don't know why. I don't know why he told stories about Aoko that made him seem worse to Soujirou, but he's actually not as bad as he made himself seem. But more importantly, Soujirou had a supernatural encounter with Aoko the previous night that basically everyone told him he was hallucinating and crazy. Yeah, that's this was the previous chapter, right? This one right here. Yeah, that was chapter 2. That's chapter 1.5. Yep. Okay. I'm just getting used to how the archive works. So, I didn't miss anything, I'm assuming. Yeah, now we continue. Let's go and see what exactly happened this previous night. Oh, wow. Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. Hello, Spheromancer. I don't hear any audio, so I assume this is not voiced. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Was it a lesson or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. I think this might be Soujirou, right?
Was it a lesson or was it a warning? It was so very long ago.
This is all my fucking sticking points about NVL mode coming right here.
At the time, I could not have imagined what my very being, would become. One night it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened it made me want to burst into tears. So I fled to my grandfather's workshop.
Oh god, see, no, this is Aoko. Ah! This is exactly why. NVL mode. Fucking hell. Yeah, like at least voice it. Man. Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Was it a lesson or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. At the time, I could not have imagined what my very being would become. One night, it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened that it made me want to burst into tears, so I fled to my grandfather's workshop. Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled and kindly placed his hand upon my head. It's like, I didn't know if, jeez. It's like, I really want to know, all I want to know is which character is talking. That's all I ask. It's just a simple thing. Jeez. Yo, Hoshi, welcome to the stream. Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled and kindly placed his hand upon my head.
Yes. The Red Death follows your every step.
Rather than consoling me, he sent me home with only those haunting words. I have to wait just a couple lines here, yeah, but in situations where it's a lot of characters talking at once, especially random bystanders, it also becomes difficult. Hello, Nicholas, welcome to the stream. Hello, Nato, welcome to the stream. That night, I was certain that I sensed a shadow lurking behind me. Something or someone watching me from afar. Then, little by little, year by year, it drew closer. Eventually, the presence that once felt like a spot on the horizon grew so close that I could feel its breath down the base of my neck. Of course, it was all in my mind. When I turned around, nobody was there. But that night marked the beginning. In hindsight, I later understood that the indescribable anxiety I felt was the dread of certain death. Ooh.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed. So this is when she first met her. How much time has passed since that night? It lingered deep in the recesses of my mind, where childhood memories are kept. A faded, storybook-esque memory. On dark nights, I still hear the faint echo of my grandfather's words. But no matter how strong the wind may howl, or how entrancing the song of the girl next to me, I could never bury his ominous words completely.
ご到着ね。
It's here. It's here, the girl beside me said. Alice's inflectionless voice spoke volumes of her role as the bystander. Demon hunting test, it looks like. That night, there was only me and her. It was the night I would mark as the birth of who I am today. For what should have been quite the memorable night, it sure wasn't a promising start. Dense clouds blocked the starlight above me like a black umbrella. Strong wind tore through the sky, carrying the heavy clouds with it. The hands on the clock in the middle of the park pointed skyward, as if reaching for the moon. Unfortunately for them, tonight there was no moon to point at. The winter air grew fiercer as the night wore on. Inhaling felt as though it would freeze me from the inside. The air chilled me to the bone, threatening to pass up my spine directly to my brain. To prevent my mind from being paralyzed, and to prevent my fingertip from becoming stone. I don't know if you guys can hear the background music. Let me turn it a bit louder. I sparked a fire using my internal rhythm and emotion.
触覚を譲るわ。幸運ね。あの位置なら刻んでおいたウィスプが止まる。
I'm transferring tactile feedback to you. Good luck. Stand over there, and the engraved will of the wisp will ignite. I responded to Alice with a nod. And then, for just a moment, I saw the ground. My legs quivered ever so faintly. I told myself they were shaking from the cold, but I wasn't so sure. In reality, they may not have been numbed by the cold, but by fear. I breathed a sigh of relief. My humanity must still be intact if my emotions are still present. Before I could sink into a pool of my own sentimentality, the sensations from the bounded field flowed from Alice into me. What does that exactly mean? I guess we'll find out what that term means. A transparent wall covered the entire park. I see. So, I'm assuming it's like territory, like magic territory, in like many series. I was introduced to it by Yu Yu Hakusho personally. An unrecognizable carpet rooted deep under the earth. Alice Quanji's chants of the Mother Goose fairy tales permeated the night. The sensations became one with my body. I felt goosebumps in my quivering right arm. Oh, that looks really cool. Someone had trespassed. The goosebumps crept up my right arm like ants, and slowly but surely made inroads from my heart. Holding back the desire to drive them out, I waited for them to reach a certain definitive position. A moonless night. The park's quaint streetlights were not enough to lift the darkness. The ants came to a stop. Far, far from my right arm, they had reached my very heart. Even without the aid of my sense of sight, I could see the intruder lurking in the darkness. To starboard, in the bushes about 30 steps back on all fours, it was beckoning with its right hand.
Soko!
There! The enemy's movement and my perception of it were in lockstep. I spun around. The enemy's arm stretched out like a spear. Damn! This lethal weapon aimed at the back of my head brushed my hair at breakneck speed. With the omniscient awareness granted by Alice's ward, I managed to avoid it by the skin of my teeth. It is a robot. My hair ran through the air from the violence of the attack. The strike grazed my cheek and I felt a small, sharp pain. It felt like the kiss of death. I switched the flow of my body's blood to a different cycle. The blood running through my veins at a few feet per second transmuted into an imaginary element. My body became a single circuit, and my heart transformed into a completely different engine. He's like freaking mode change, it looks like. Within me stirred an unknowable motion of immeasurable heat. Something mystic yet untapped by humankind that made me who I am. It was the fire of life behind all miracles and fables. What we mages called magical energy.
Setto.
Connecting! I turned around, set the enemy in my sights, and held up one hand. My arm was the agent of my will. My lack of experience in my magecraft would only be possible with the use of vocalizations and gestures. Magical formulae were engraved all over the park. All I had to do was ignite them. I need to direct the flow of the magical energy within my body into each formula. Typically, a mage acts as a conduit. Whether wired or wireless, the mage simply pours magical energy into the formula. Releasing this energy in the form of a projectile, stream, or any number of methods would usually suffice. But in my case, it was the feeling of my limbs whipping out.
Moera!
Burn! I fought speed with speed. The enemy's arm, extended 10 feet forward, became engulfed in flames. It was nighttime at the park. The scene reminiscent of a campfire, but one in which the center of the flames contained a humanoid figure wriggling like a shadow puppet. flame subsided just as unnaturally as it ignited. No crackling, no burning smell.
結界返すわ。死体を確認するから。
You can have the bounded field back. I'll check the remains. After telling this to Alice, I headed toward the motionless figure. I killed it. I killed it. I killed it. Regardless of who my opponent was, I just took someone's life. My throat parched. I swallowed the truth that without this sense of reality, I would have been helpless. I think it's a robot, though. I don't think it's a person. So hard and bitter. Impossible to swallow. But I tried to anyway. I was unnervingly calm. My heart pounded and my breath felt heavy, but my mind was nonetheless calm. By the time I realized it, the charred remains were already in front of me. Bracing for a counterattack, I carefully examined the corpse. Everything seemed fine. This body lying slumped to the ground was nothing but ash. So she didn't even know what it looked like, really.
Huh?
But something wasn't right. To begin with, its remains didn't smell organic. Ah, I see. She's realizing it. Not willing to believe my hunch, I took a closer look at the corpse's face. All that greeted me was a featureless white face of a mannequin. Damn it! They got us again! Screaming, I kicked the mannequin. The corpse crumbled to ash and disappeared with the wind. No, this was no corpse. This was just a puppet. And for all our efforts to lure the master out, we had once again been tricked by a familiar. My debut, my first test out in the open, would be postponed for another day.
いつになったら一人前にって。
Will I ever pass this test? What? At that moment, I suddenly noticed something familiar in the corner of my eye. Soujirou? Something seemed strange about the slide at the other end of the park. It appeared as though its shadow were larger than it should be. Was I still drunk at the high of battle? It took me a second to realize what it was.
誰?
Who's there? Calling out was a mistake. Startled by my voice, the figure, wearing a familiar high school uniform, took a step back and then it broke into a sprint. Like someone running for their life. Or should I say he was doing exactly that?
追いかけて! 見られた!
After him! We've been spotted! In a rush, I shouted at my partner, but she hadn't even noticed the third party's presence in the first place. Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself. Embarrassingly, the fight had taken more out of me than I'd liked.
ダメ! 逃げられる!
No, he'll get away!
捕まえて始末しないと!
We need to catch and eliminate him! What the fuck? Damn, that is cold chillin'. This was no time for niceties. For us, being seen here was a matter of life and death. You can't just, erase his memory? Shit, man.
待って、この!
Wait, get back here, you! Shaking off the numbness in my legs, I made for the park's exit. I had to admire his escape. The witness, party to the entire night's proceedings, had disappeared into the darkness of the residential district without a trace.
ああ、もう! 結界にあいつの感触なんてなかったのに!
Why the hell didn't I sense him in the field? Complaining to myself wouldn't bring back the figure in uniform. Maybe he's an artificial human? I don't know. But also the magic robots are artificial. So that doesn't make that wouldn't make sense. 'Cause she could sense the magic robot and that was artificial. Bitter at my own incompetence, I gave up the chase. Though temporary, the park had become Alice's woods. For anyone within a few feet of the park, other park-goers' identifiable features and voices became murky, like the stuff of fairy tales. Ah, I see. It's a freaking magical shaft or something like that. Tonight's proceedings may have had a witness, but if I had done as he was still hidden, then this was still a chance.
あの背中、男だった。
That looked like a male from behind. I returned to the park. That uniform was without a doubt from my high school. That was clue enough. If he was a schoolmate of mine, I had plenty of methods to flush him out.
にしても、どうしてこう問題ばっかり増えていくんだろう。
It's one thing after another. I missed my grumbling. I set my priorities straight. Before some strange rumors spread, I need to seal the witness's mouth shut. Damn. Damn! That was the highest priority. Quickly and without mercy. Looking up, I saw Alice's previously distant figure. Though she was in as much trouble as I was, with her existence as a mage also exposed, she had but one thing to say.
これは困ったことになったわね。
This means trouble. Her statue-like figure, staring into the darkness, seemed more expressionless than calm. I was pissed off. Her inscrutable voice resembled the moonless night so much it made me angry. Oh, that was a teensy-weensy chapter. That was a teensy-weensy chapter. So I wonder, is the hello Lestat, welcome to the stream. Is the whole game gonna be this bookshelf, or is it gonna extend lower? Huh. Blues in her name. Let's go. I think this is the first chapter we're going to be able to finish within the stream. But I can go longer next time. There really isn't any other way of saying this. I am a magician. Kind of like those witches in fairy tales who live alone in the woods and perform miracles with the wave of a finger. While the popular depiction of it differs from reality, it's closer to the truth than you know. Though, just so we're clear, no, I don't fly through the sky on a broom. I cannot transform into animals or speak with small birds. Modern maids are nothing so fanciful. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Though it may seem like we can do anything, we're actually majorly constrained. And while I still have a lot to learn about it, this is my real job. Sounds a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally. This is a secret I don't share with just anyone. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. That is the first and most important of the Association's 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out of the bag in the least. My secret identity as an honor student is intact, and absolutely no good would come out of me revealing my true nature. If anything, it'd only lead to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. Damn, I love how Escher-esque this looks. It's so cool, such a cool view here. I've fantasized about revealing my secret life's work to a single special person when I finally make something of myself. Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar to just confess one day. By the way, I'm a magician. That idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling the big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. My grandfather patted me on the head when I shared these thoughts with him. I don't know if that was praise or what, but I remember that his touch was gentle. I first learned that I would be succeeding my grandfather on the day I graduated middle school. When I returned home, there he was.
Your older sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you are the heir to the Ozaki.
He said it in such a matter-of-fact way. I knew that the Ozaki family passed down this old tradition of magecraft. But to be honest, I never imagined I would be the one to wield it. Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. It was my sister's role to take the mantle, and I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many rules and routines. So she has a mysterious sister out there somewhere. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live life my way. And while I meant to do just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. I wonder what that was. Probably some kind of demon came after her, because she had the potential or something like that. Since then, I have been thrust headlong into a world I had only observed from afar. It was one hell of a way to start high school. But I suppose it wasn't all that bad, all things considered. A lot has happened since then. I was so dazed by this newfound life that a year of school motored right by. I was a second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic has happened. In 6 months, my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other, notwithstanding. What? What? You're joking, right? I'm guessing she's joking. As it happens, I've got a natural talent at this magic stuff. So I've yet to have any hang-ups there either. I'm only human, so I've had my fair share of headaches for sure. But never once did I worry about my future. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. If only everything had gone to plan last night.
どう？
Well, Alice Kwanji asked Aoko Ozaki the second she entered the house. Her dark eyes succeeded where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. Aoko took off her unflattering coat, hung it on the hanger, and sat down on the sofa. Alice sat across from her, with a table separating them.
そっちは？よくないわね。
Any progress with
偵
those
察に行
things?
けるのは7個くらい。ここのところ使ってばかりで作り置きをする余裕もなかったし。
Not at all. I've only got 7 left that are any good for reconnaissance. I've been using them up fast, and haven't had time to make more. Alice's gaze drifted from Aoko to the box on the table.
あの夜、町を監視していた奴はいないの？町の偵察は完璧なんでしょ？そいつら。
Were none of them keeping watch that night? They've never let you down when it comes to this sort of thing, have they?
それは昼間の話よ。夜間飛行は危険が多いわ。
During the day, no. But there is quite the risk when flying them at night. Meaning they were of the least use when they needed the most. Aoko sighed.
そういうあなたは？朝は随分と強気だったけど。
Well, how are you faring? You seem pretty confident this morning.
ああ、こっちは予定通りよ。
Huh? Yeah, I guess everything's good on my end.
明日までには絞り込めると思う。今朝、飛び丸にうちの生徒の自宅と行動時間を調べさせたから。
Huh. I'm pretty sure I'll know by tomorrow. I told Tobimaru to look into all the students' addresses and schedules.
あの時間に公園をうろつくやつはめったにいないし、簡単に割り出せる。
Not many people wander the park at that time of night, so it should be easy enough to figure out who it was.
そう簡単に行くの？
How can you be so sure?
行くわよ。伊達に生徒会に勤めてないわ。その程度のデータは揃えてある。
Because I didn't just join the student council to keep up appearances. I've been using my position to keep tabs on everyone.
月1のバイト先はおろか、親しい友人宅との移動時間、その優先順位まで調べ上げてるんだから。
Damn. I have info on everything from part-time jobs to friends' addresses to what they're up to in their spare time.
人には見せたくなかったリストだけど、そんな余裕ないでしょ？だから、そういうのが向いてる副会長にやらせたの。
Damn. It's a list I thought I was hoping to keep secret. But we can't afford to do that now, can we? That's why I keep the vice president around. It's the kind of thing he does best. Incidentally, the creation of this secret file started the moment Aoko became student council president. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student body.
そう。徹底しているわね。相変わらず。
As thorough as always, I see. Alice was only mildly surprised. It had been almost 2 years since they first started living together. She knew as well as anyone that when Aoko put her mind to something, she saw it through to the end.
ま、私もあれがこんな風に役立つとは思ってもみなかったけど。ほんと、備えあれば憂いなしとはこのことね。
Well, I never imagined I'd have to use it like this. But it's better to be safe than sorry. What happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to the rule. This predicament should not have even been possible.
それより、原因は分かったの？結界の結びに不手際があったなんてのは聞かないわよ。
More importantly, have you figured out what went wrong? And don't tell me it had anything to do with your link to the bounded field. Aoko glared at her. The ward was Alice's responsibility. If it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had to own up to her fair share. Alice and Aoko may have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. While lineage had brought them together, they were more like enemies than allies. Really? Huh. Ultimately, they were just not a match. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was even an opportunity, the two would kill each other in the event of such a moment. Jesus Christ, man. How could you live in a way like that? That's insane. Alice locked eyes with Aoko. Aoko's fierce gaze could make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice did not bat an eyelash.
仮の話だけど、あの結界に落ち度があったのなら、今まで何度もこういう状況になっていたでしょうね。
Assuming the bounded field was the problem, wouldn't this have happened countless times before? I suppose you're right, Aoko agreed, as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice.
結界のあり方は完璧だったのね。
So you're saying there's nothing wrong with it?
絶対とまでは断言はできないけど。
I honestly can't say for sure. Alice answered as flatly as ever. Oh, here we go. Full explanation. A bounded feels like a sanctuary sealed away from the real world. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. There are various kinds of bounded fields. There are physical ones that close off an area behind a wall, and less tangible ones that use mirrors, mist, or trees to conceal that which occurs within. However, when closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. In other words, the area may be closed off to the outside world, but it is impossible to hide the fact that it is closed off. Huh, interesting. In time, someone will take an interest in a sealed-off area, even if they cannot see what is going on inside. Some might say this is putting the cart before the horse. The ideal field would be one that was most undetectable and impervious to interference from the outside. That was exactly the kind Alice had generated in the park the night before. Damn.
その場所に用があっても、今はないように思わせれば、誰もそこには立ち入らない。
Even if someone has a reason to be in a place, they shouldn't enter if you made them forget their reason for being there.
隠したい場所の周りに、一時的な意識の改ざんを促す結界を張る。手間はかかるんだけど、1時間程度の人よけには信頼性は高い結界よね。
It takes an immense amount of time and energy to create a field that produces a temporary illusion around a location you wish to conceal. But they prove extremely effective for at least an hour or so, right?
アリスの鏡を使った一級品だし、途中で破れることもない。事実、入ってきたのはあの人形だけだとはっきり感じられた。これで完璧じゃなかったら何が完璧なのよ。
And to top it all, it was a top class, made from your mirrors, and it's not like they shattered while we were using it. The only other presence I felt inside was that of that puppet. If that isn't a perfectly constructed bounded field, then what is?
私もわからない。森作りに落ち度はなかったわ。
Okay, so this is no ordinary thing. Yep, Soujirou was absolutely special in some way. I have no idea. The trees were prepared perfectly.
森は数日かけて栽培したものだし、今まで通り信頼できる結界よ。けど例外があったのなら、どこかで見落としがあったのね。
I cultivated the trees and plants over several days, and it's always proven to be a reliable field. But maybe, just maybe, there was something I didn't account for. Though Alice's words conceded the possibility, her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing.
参った。こうなると、一番いいのは、あいつが人形使いだってパターンね。それならかろうじて納得できる。相手が魔術師なら、結界の侵入ぐらいできるでしょうし。
Well, crap! In that case, we better hope that the witness was the puppeteer, which would make sense. A mage would probably be able to penetrate it.
問題は、侵入した時の違和感をどうやって消したかってことだけど。
Something else bothers me, though. How did he avoid detection? The thought of being targeted by this individual was pretty terrifying. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Alice, in her current state, would be completely helpless against such a foe.
その線はないわ。
I've already determined that it was not a mage.
彼は部外者よ。ムクドリはともかく、ロビンが後をたどれなかったもの。
Huh.
魔力の気配は全くなし。誰かの魔術で操られている犠牲者
Huh.
というのもないわね。
I'm gonna go with anti-magic field then. If such a thing exists in this universe. This was most certainly an outsider. The starlings are one thing, but not even Robin was able to follow him. There were no traces of magical energy, so that rules out a magical pawn. Aoko was quickly running out of straws to grasp at. And that meant that she was out of questions to ask. All she could do was call it bad luck and leave it at that.
魔術師の秘密を見られて、おまけに目撃者を逃がしたか。普通の高校生の悩みじゃないな。
First you find out you're a mage, then you let the witness get away. Oh, why couldn't I just have normal high schooler problems? The sofa groaned as she leaned back. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly depressed.
青子、覚悟を決めておいて。
Aoko, make up your mind. Her roommate's voice seemed indifferent. But Aoko just kept staring up at the wooden ceiling.
それとも、あなたにできないのなら、私が言ってあげてもいいけど。
If you're not up to the task, I can take care of it myself. The cool-mannered girl's statement carried an equally icy implication. Do they really have to kill him, though? Can they just erase his memory? Aoko took the words in slowly, with as much sincerity as she could muster. It was like trying to swallow molten lead.
そうだ。覚悟なんて、もう決めたでしょ。
Like, it seemed like that'd be a lot more efficient, because then they'd have to cover up his disappearance, too. It seems like it'd be way more efficient, even, just to erase his memory. She's right, and I've already made up my mind. The thought sounded hollow, even as it popped into her heart, in her head, into her head. This was clearly different from last time. Well, the aim was indeed the same. The circumstances surrounding her target were clearly different. She may have been determined before, but that was as a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she would step up to the fight. If it was a fight between two mages, and her opponent was in the wrong, even if this could only end in death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties could accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on this scale. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither enemy nor mage. Even if she was prepared to kill them, this person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. Was she truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person? Could she swallow the fact that this was a common occurrence for a mage? She snorted sardonically. Being a mage did not mean that Aoko was some kind of monk who could cut ties with the real world on a whim. If there was one thing Aoko hated, it was doing things without conviction or an understanding of exactly why she was doing them. When she acted, she preferred to act decisively.
やるしかないだろうね。
I guess I don't have any other choice. Okay, I think I know what's gonna happen is that she's gonna ask out Soujirou, and everyone's gonna go like, "Oh my God, Aoko asked someone else out on a date? What the fuck?" And actually, she's asking him out to fucking murder him. I bet that's gonna happen, and there's gonna be something happens that prevents that from happening. As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her fill of the ceiling for one day. Aoko returned to the Aoko of always, and Alice was done probing her.
じゃあ、これ。
Take this. As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. It fit neatly into the palm of her hand. The bottle looked completely out of place in her slender fingers. The glass was cloudy and it appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front where there was once a label.
何よそれ。
What's that? Aoko stared at the bottle suspiciously.
収納の小瓶。ちょうど一つ余ってたから、あげるわ。
It's a storage bottle. I had one to spare, so I'm giving it to you.
はい？
A what?
名前は忘れたけど、中国の小説に出てきたのと同じよ。
Oh, is it like one of those sealing jars? I forgot what it's called, but it's a thing out of a Chinese novel. Aoko was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant.
それってレンゲ堂の兄弟の話？じゃああの赤いひょうたんと同じなわけ？言いたくないけど、そこら辺の風邪薬のラベルを無理やり剥がして小瓶に見せかけてるそれが？
Are you saying this is the red drinking gourd from the story about the two brothers who guarded the Lotus Cave? Don't take this the wrong way, but it looks like your everyday medicine bottle with the label ripped off. Alice looked at the bottle and acknowledged how ordinary it looked. She also understood that she would not be the one using it, as she set it on the table.
赤いひょうたんじゃなくて陽子玉の上瓶の方。
Except this is a jade flask, not a red drinking gourd.
そういう問題じゃない。私は魔術師としての雰囲気を論じてるんだ。
Shh. That's not the problem! The problem is maintaining my dignity as a mage!
些細なことを気にするのね。せいろがんの瓶じゃないだけいいと思うけど。
Oh, don't get stuck on the details. Just be happy it's not a bottle of laxatives. Fine. She made a good point.
蓋を開けて相手の名前を尋ねればいいから。
Just open the lid and ask for the person's name.
ただし、相手に抵抗する意志が残っている場合、小瓶は割れるから気をつけて。
But be careful, because if the target is resistant, the bottle will shatter. Aoko raised her eyebrows.
ちょっと待った。抵抗する意志があるとダメって、眠っている時にやれってこと？
Oh my god. Hang on. If he's resistant, I can only use it when he's asleep, right?
それは試したことがなかったわ。
I've never tried it, to be honest.
眠っているのに返事をする人っているの？
But is there anyone who responds to things in their sleep?
たまにいるけど。まあ、確かに珍しいわね。
Oh,
そういう
that's
人。
true. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to respond then. You'd be surprised, but true. People like that are rare. In that case, one would have to weaken them until they were about to pass out.
ああ、そうそう。薬や魔術がかかっていると、その重さでも割れるから気をつけて。
Like capturing you're gonna capture him in a fucking Pokeball. Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. Drugs or magecraft will also cause the bottle to break.
使えない。それってほとんど役立たずってことじゃない。
Then what good is it? It won't break the damn thing!
それ
Jeez.
は青子次第ね。
A tool is only as good as the person using it. Alice turned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her.
はあ。アリスがこういう小道具好きなのは知ってたけどね。これも趣味なわけ？
Ugh. I know you're fond of using dainty tools like this. Is it a hobby of yours or something? Aoko asked, hoping Alice would deny it.
多分。
Perhaps.
それでどうするの？持っていくのか行かないのか。
So, are you going to take it or leave it? Without answering, Aoko dithered a bit before taking the bottle and putting it in her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. Two hours had passed and the clock struck 9. Their conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom, and had manifested in the kind of scene one would not expect in such a mansion.
まあ本当はね、飛び丸に任せる気はなかったんだけど。
To be honest, I didn't really want to leave it to Tobimaru like this. A hot earthenware pot sat on the table. Aoko spat out complaints to no one in particular, as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked out of place in this mansion. When it came to the kind of Japanese hot pot where all one had to do was buy and boil ingredients, it was usually Aoko's responsibility. Alice sat across from Aoko as she silently poked at the pot with a fork.
山城のやつが来るなり、しずきくんはまだ部活に入っていないから面倒見てあげてくれないかな、なんて言ってくるもんだからさ。全校生徒の行動範囲なんて見直す気力なくなっちゃったのよ。
Yamashiro made it a point to say that Suzuki hadn't joined a club. It's not like I had the time or energy to keep track of every single student. The egg she had plucked was still as silky as a baby's bottom. She returned it to the pot. She settled for the shirataki noodles instead.
そりゃあのバカがバイトで忙しいのは知ってるわよ。
I already know that the idiot is constantly busy with his jobs.
だからできるだけ春先までのんびりしてて、あんなのでも親身になってくれそうな部の部長に当たってみたのに。
That's why I tried my best to set him up with a club activity captain that'd be accommodating.
ありがとうの一つもないってのはちょっと尺に触るわよね。
But the nerve of that guy, not even a thanks.
聞いてるアリス。
Are you even listening, Alice? As if her mouth was full, she simply nodded in response. Her expression stated that she had no interest or no opinion on the matter, but she at least appeared to be listening. Satisfied, Aoko nibbled on some hand-pan fish cake.
それに私、いい人なんて言われるやつは信用できないのよ。あろうことか、飛び丸までそんなこと口走る始末だし。あれはいい人なんじゃなくて、ただぼんやりしてるだけなんだっての。
I just can't trust anyone who says he's a great guy. Surprise! Even Toby Marr was gushing about him. The only thing he's great at is being an airhead.
だいたいあそこまで言われて怒りもしないなんてどうかしてるわ。
I mean, there's really something wrong with his brain if he didn't get angry after what I said. Her thoughts went to what happened in the student council room earlier that day. She remembered how non-responsive Soujirou had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of her handpan without chewing it.
何が分かってるんだなよ。
I thought you would understand, he says. Ha! His words were a lot like those that ended her childhood.
青子ちゃんは分かっているんだね。
You know, don't you, Aoko?
それでも自分であり続けられるということはとても強いことなんだよ。
Through it all, you never lose sight of who you are. You're so strong.
Perhaps it was meant as a compliment. But she took it as a patronizing way to pity her. Because the person who said it acted like she was looking at a wounded animal.
ま、あんな変態の言ってたことなんて今さらどうでもいいけどさ。
Whatever. Who cares what that weirdo thinks or says? Oh, so another thing that we don't know about. That episode might have made her the most confused she had ever been in her life. Yet, what shocked young Aoko the most another typo, my god, was the look of pity on the face of the person she admired the most.
喧嘩
You fought. Huh? The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks.
ごめん、聞いてなかった。喧嘩ってあの喧嘩？
Sorry. What'd you say? Something about a fight? Alice nodded.
あなたの感想だけじゃ状況はよくつかめないけど
I can't say what I completely understand from what you've said.
つまり青子はその人に喧嘩を売りたかったのね
It really did, yeah. But it does come across as if you're trying to pick a fight with him. Alice bit into the very last handpan. Her remark was unexpectedly but completely on point.
なんでそうなるのよ。
Why'd you go there?
私はあんなのと1秒だって関わりたくないだけだってば。だいたいそれどころじゃないし、興味とか全くないし、会話もこれ以上ないってぐらい簡潔に切り上げたし。
Oh my god! The soonest of tears! Oh my god. I'd rather die than spend another second with him! I mean, seriously, gross! I have no interest in him whatsoever. I'd love it if I never had to say anything about him ever again!
ならどうして今そんな話をするの？
So why all the talk about him?
それはあんたに今日の調査過程を知らせてあげたのよ。それ以外何があるっていうの？
Oh my god. What? I was just reporting on today's investigation. Something wrong with that? What other reason could Alice be suggesting Aoko had for bringing it up? It was several hours later in bed that Aoko realized that she had dug her own grave.
いいけど私は別に。
No, not really.
ただ青子は本当にその人が嫌いなの？
But does he really bother you that much? Alice ate her hot pot in silence, as if she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was as indifferent as always. No, there's a slight smile there, yeah. But she was secretly enjoying how flustered Aoko was. Aoko remained oblivious to this. Normally, she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment.
本当にって、そりゃそうよ。気に食わないって何度も言ってるじゃない。
Does he really? Well, of course he does. I think I've said that often enough.
そう。具体的には？
Okay. What specifically about him do you dislike?
は？具体的にはって、そんなのに理由なんて。
Huh? I don't need a specific reason to... She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. What? Huh? She could come up with no reason why. Her instincts had told her that she was incompatible with that hick. But why such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Aoko hated emotions without reason and decisions made with no rationale.
嫌いなものは嫌いなんだから、ちゃんとどっかに理由があるんだと思うけど。
I just don't like it. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, I think. She became more flustered the more she talked. Unfortunately for her, she could not come up with a coherent reason to hate Soujirou Suzuki. Loathing. Undescribable loathing. Your face, your hair, your loathing. It was not his fault that he had zero common sense. It was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable that he was trying so hard to adapt to civilized society. As clueless as he might seem, he was not a complete waste of space. If he seemed a bit slow, it was only because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. As much as she was loath to admit it, he really was unassuming. Fucking typos, man. He really was the unassuming do-gooder everyone had him pegged as.
ちょっと本気かっての。人間的に悪いところ、本当にみじんもないのか？あれ。
They did not proofread this, did they? Like, my god. I can't believe what I'm thinking. Is there really nothing wrong with him? There was plenty, so she left it at that for now. The chopstick she had been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burned through her head. Oh my god. This is kind of hilarious. That she's not aware of what's going on. And yeah, it is kind of sad. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Soujirou, but her mind only went in more circles. Alice fixed Aoko with a deadpan stare.
呆れた
I'm shocked. A small sigh.
らしくないわね、青子。
This isn't like you, Aoko. Those words were the final blow. Aoko felt the floor fall out from under her. She was unable to leave her chair until long after Alice had finished eating and left. Hello, Caviera, welcome to the stream. However, even after getting knocked down, Aoko Ozaki was not one to be kept that way. She made short work of clearing up after dinner and, after conceding the first bath of the night to Alice, left the drawing room. Since it was customary in these sorts of mansions to turn the lights off when leaving an empty room, the only lit areas of the house were the drawing room and the two girls' bedrooms. That is creepy. Jeez. The upstairs was enveloped in darkness. Aoko briskly made her way to the deepest parts of the east wing, along the long corridor, illuminated only by the light of the moon, and arrived at her room.
結論として
All being said,
やっぱり騙し討ちは気に食わない。
sneak attacks made me sick to my stomach. She had been considering this on the way down to the corridor. Or perhaps ever since she left the drawing room. Hello, Saw, welcome to the stream. The moment she entered her room, she drew a proverbial line in the sand.
やるにしても隠れるのはなし。正面から堂々と向かい合って理由を言う。
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it face to face. I'll give it to him straight. This was not a concession driven by feelings of sympathy or compassion. For her, this was simply the way things ought to be.
よし、そうと決まれば。
Okay. With that out of the way. After settling her resolve, she headed to the study next door.
木曜棚の当時欄、緑の背表紙と。
Let's see. Thursday shelf, winter solstice, green spine. Without hesitation, she removed one book from the countless volumes on the shelf. The introductory textbooks transported here from the Ozaki residence were separated into 6 shelves labeled Monday to Saturday. Aoko had organized the books by topic and genre on purpose, and more or less memorized exactly what was in her personal library. Referencing any of this material took her no time at all. It was to be expected from the keeper of... Man! From the keeper of this study. Typos galore. Though this keeper's fiefdom was nothing more than a small room. Both Aoko and Alice had given up all hope on the cluttered mess of a library in the annex. Nevertheless, on occasion, Aoko would have no option other than to give Alice a heads up and visit it when the study did not meet her needs.
できればそれは避けたいところだけど、と。
I really hope I don't have to go over there now. Aoko placed the thick green book down and took a seat. The desk she sat at was sturdy but uninviting. It wasn't the sort of furniture girls her age grew attached to, but she liked its minimalist elegance nonetheless. She flipped lightly through the book's old, worn pages.
アリスみたいな結界は私にはまだ無理だ。
I still can't manage anything like Alice's bounded field.
人払いはその場所自体に頼らないといけないか。
I guess I'll just have to find a place off the beaten track. The mountains, the woods, the school building empty at night. She was looking for a place that would be, except for the worst of luck, void of people, allowing her to forego the use of magecraft.
茨の壁だの魔力の霧だの、そういう回りくどいのもなんだしな。退路を断つっていうなら、もっとこう見た目にも状況的にも派手な方が効果的だし。
Walls of thorns and magical mists are so indirect. If I want to cut off any route of escape, I need some place flashy and obvious, both in purpose and in looks. Muttering about how there had to be some basic spell that fit her needs, she continued to flip through the pages. It goes without saying that she was looking for a way to deal with the witness from the previous night. Magecraft's uses were many, but not all-encompassing. Fundamentally, magecraft was good for making things or phenomena that existed already, while more or less bypassing the time and resources conventional means would require. It was, however, unable to manifest phenomena that were impossible in this world. Huh. That's kind of similar to Umineko, how it worked. It was essentially an equivalent exchange. They use a variety of shortcuts. A phenomenon made possible by human hands, actualized by an individual's power. That was generally what magecraft was. To give a simple example, if Aoko were so inclined, she could make an entire lake appear at the mansion. However, it had to be something that existed within this world. Nothing, not even the smallest matter, could escape this unbreakable law. Even if Aoko were to release a level of heat on par with an F-15 fighter jet's afterburner, that event would only be possible if the circuit named Aoko Azaki acted as a temporary input variable in a magical formula. The derived equivalence was simply a value that already occurred in reality. If the variable in the equation that did not exist elsewhere in reality, the spell would not be valid. So theoretically, they could create a magical nuke. Damn. The imaginary element known as magical energy was like a lie that could only slip its fantasy through the network of order at the moment of ignition, giving form to the non-existent illusions invading reality, something the universe did not allow.
とは言ってもエーテルは基本何にでもできるんで、大元が嘘なんだっけ。
Still, what was it? You can combine the imaginary factor, ether, with pretty much anything else that is not real itself.
魔力だけで構成されたものは幻想扱いされて急速に消えていくとか。典型的な結界、茨の壁とかはもともと茨を生やしておいて魔力で一気に成長強化してるものだし。
Anything composed entirely of magical energy is little more than an illusion, will quickly dissipate. Even a typical field, like a wall of thorns, generally starts with the user planting the thorns first, before using magical energy to grow and strengthen them in an instant.
魔力っていうのは結局使い勝手のいいガソリン兼事象に火をつける火花ってわけで。
Huh. So it seems like a lot of scientific knowledge might be useful when being a mage in this world. In the end, magical energy is just an easy-to-use fuel source, while acting as a firework that ignites a phenomenon.
なんて言いつつ
Or so they say!
架空要素云々より基本的な回路の接続と魔力を加工して弾くことぐらいしかできないのよね、私。
Imaginary factors are all well and good, but all I can do is connect a basic circuit and process energy into projectile. Laughing to herself, she looked for a bounded field or something similar more suited to her current ability. The identity of the witness was still unknown, but if they were a classmate of Aoko's, she had any number of pretexts by which to lure them out. The problem was after that.
そうなると問題は命中率よね。一撃で決めないと逃げられちゃうだろうし。
Then it becomes a question of precision. If I don't take care of him in one blow, he might slip away. To be honest, she wasn't confident she could handle this smoothly without Alice's support. But Aoko saw no reason to ask for help, given that the target in question was a regular bystander. Fledgling as she was, she still had her pride as a mage. She continued to turn through the pages rhythmically. In the midst of the fluttering sound of thumbing through the volume, Aoko suddenly stopped her finger at a certain page.
見つけた。
Found it. She smiled to herself. It was a simple formula that she had tucked away somewhere in the recesses of her memory. A spell of simple destruction.
檻をね、作ればいいのよ。
A cage. That's all I needed to make.
狩りをする時の常套手段じゃない。獲物を逃げられないようにするのは。
It's the oldest trick in the book that any hunter worth their salt would use. She placed a bookmark in the book, closed it, and got up to return to her room. Suddenly she felt someone watching her. Ooh. Through the window, she saw her in the night, a girl staring back with a cold-hearted expression. The girl's face was hers, the expression undoubtedly her own. She began planning how to erase this witness. Though to say it was something as elaborate as a plan was overkill. This was just a job. She's gonna make a cage and then lure her prey into it. There was no getting around it. Premeditated violence.
さ、そろそろアリスは上がったかな。
I wonder if Alice is done with her bath, she mumbled out loud, as if the bath would return some warmth to her chilled heart. About 20 minutes had passed since she gave Alice the privilege of using the hot water first. Alice tended to bathe quickly, finishing under well under 10 minutes. Her roommate was the type that could not understand the split spirit of the bath, treating it as nothing more than necessity for looking after one's body. For Alice, the concept of staying at a hot spring inn sounded more like a chore than anything, though in this regard Aoko had to agree.
よし、浴場はカラッと。あれ、居間に電気ついてる？
Alright, I guess it's my time to... Huh? Is that the drawing room light on? It was unusual for Alice to sit in the drawing room after a bath. On nights when she had nothing to discuss, it was her style to return directly to her bedroom.
アリス、いるの？
Alice, are you in here? Alice nodded. With no book in hand, it appeared that Alice had been waiting for Aoko.
そういうこと。私も信用ないな、ほんと。
So that's how it is. She really has no faith in me, does she? Aoko scratched her head in exasperation. Was it that Alice was worried about her, or had no faith in her? Her expression was so calm, Aoko could hardly figure out what she was thinking.
方針なら決まったけど、聞く？
I have a plan. Wanna hear it?
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。
I can tell what it is by the look on your face.
迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど。悪い癖ね、青子。
It's good that you're no longer wavering, but you must do something about that tail of yours, Aoko. Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of her disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々、正面から理由を言った後にする。
I don't like sneaky attacks, so I'm gonna do it fairly. And only after I've told him why straight to his face.
それならすっぱり後腐れもないし。文句ある？
That the way there'll be absolutely no trouble later. Any complaints?
文句はないわ。そういうの、好きか嫌いかはこの際関係ないでしょうし。
Why would I have any? This is really a matter of personal preference after all.
けど、
However,
確実性はどうかってことでしょ？私、いまいち命中率悪いし。その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。
you're worried that it'll mess up, right? My accuracy hasn't exactly been stellar lately, so I was thinking about how to cover my bases with the location.
私はアリスのようにはいかないから、物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
I can't throw up a field like you, so I was thinking of doing it somewhere where you physically can't escape. Any ideas? Alice nodded in thought. The finger that gently rested on her lips indicated that the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
What about mirrors? You could easily seal him in the House of Mirrors for all eternity. Damn!
あんた、そういうところ常識ないわよね。
Seriously? That's your idea? She frowned at Alice's bad taste. It was the kind of idea her roommate found to be inspired, but Aoko knew it was out of the question. Aoko was looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare, not a realm bordering on true magic that she couldn't create to begin with. What does that even mean, true magic? Is that the plucking a one from the sea of zero kind of thing?
なら他を当たるのね。でもここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
Then you'll choose otherwise, I suppose. But please, whatever you do, do not bring him here. That's exactly what she's gonna do. I bet.
言われなくても分かってるって。
You don't need to tell me that. I'm betting he's gonna come here eventually and live here.
あー、けど、そうね。
Oh, there we go. But actually, yeah.
ミラーハウスはいいアイディアかも。
House of Mirrors might actually work. Aoko smirked and shifted her balance away from the wall she was resting on.
サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。
I wonder what she thought of. Thanks, Alice. I just figured out the whole plan.
ほんと、こういうのってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
I guess it's always best to talk to someone when you're in a bind. Now in a good mood, Alice retreated from the drawing room. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Aoko had drawn up in her mind, but whatever it was, it appeared to be the thorough kind Aoko was good at. Aoko headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half of sharing a living space had taught Alice something. When Aoko was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow.
青子一人に任せていいのかですって。
Ooh, now who's she talking to? You want to know if I'm okay with letting Aoko handle this on her own? Oh, little bluebird. Who is probably a magical, familiar, or person. It was unclear how long the bird had been in the drawing room. Chirping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced along the furniture as if it were its property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
Yes, I suppose. She said that she wanted to do it alone, and I do want her to know that she has my every faith. Still. The girl in black raised her arm. The bird, chirping once again, alighted on her outstretched, affectionate finger.
嫌な話だけど、
Suffice to say,
信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
trust and faith are two very different things. The bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement. And Aoko was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. Here we go. The following day was a typically overcast one. The day's classes ended as they had started, uneventfully. God, everything in this story is such a vibe. My God. The OST is so chill. Winter break was just around the corner, and with it, final exams. I love this. Seriously, this is some night driving music for sure. My God. Although Misaki High prided itself on discipline, it was still a private school which promoted a culture of independence among its students. Not music to kill witnesses too. That's a good one. Industrious students had a place to explore that side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the student council vice president indicated just how vast that spectrum was.
Aozaki, iru ka?
Aozaki, you in here?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Aozaki, you in here?
That's right, that's the voice I used from. Tobimaru Tsukiji drew open the door to the satellite student council room, the rumored location for their secret meetings. Despite all appearances, he was student council vice president, who also happened to be the poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. One person was waiting for him in the cramped room. Student council president Aoko Ozaki sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru in his boisterous entrance.
相変わらず寒いなこの部屋。なあ、今度ストーブ購入しようぜ。
This room is freezing as usual. I really need to buy a heater.
So as not to succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、何しに来たのか分かってる？
Thank you for coming. Let's get down to business. Do you know why I've asked you here?
まあな。ただ、事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか。
I have an idea. What's up with the formality, Ozaki?
少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ。
Pretty cold to talk shop right away all the time, you know?
Tobimaru closed the door and sat down across from Aoko. He was holding a blue envelope.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。
Yeah, and loose lips sink ships.
なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ。
Might remember that one once you get out into the real world.
なる。いや。
Alright, I'll remember. Wait a sec, nice try.
Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aoko before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he who's not ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job.
それで調べ終わったの？
So then, are you done with your investigation?
ああ、ついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた。
Yeah, I finished that last interview just now.
詳しいことはその封筒に入ってる。お前から渡された例のファイルもそんなか。
The details are in the envelope along with the file you gave me.
He tossed the envelope onto the table.
そう。
Good. Aoko picked it up and began to scan through the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing the slightest bit of attention for Tobimaro. If ignoring other people were a skill, she would be a master at it.
なあ、
Uh-huh.
何？
What?
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ。
I just want to ask one thing.
だから何？
Yeah, and? The room was filled with a chilling silence. Aoko continued reading without an ounce of emotion upon her face. Though Tobimaro kept up an air of indifference, his stare remained fixed intently on her.
青崎、そういうの作って楽しい？
Damn.
Do you get a kick out of doing this kind of thing, Ozaki?
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところであんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
Of course not. What's so fun about gathering intel I hardly even get to use?
そうか。ならいい。
Right, just wanted to check.
Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaro stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression.
最後まで読めばわかるだろうが、あんまり確証は取れなかったぜ。
You'll figure this out just by reading it all, but I wasn't able to dig up anything conclusive.
というより、おとといあの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだ。まあ断定はできないけどな。
By all indications, that there weren't any students in the area the day before yesterday. It's not like I can say that for sure, though.
No longer concerned over his task, Tobimaro headed toward the door, as if to see if it was out of his hands.
と、そうだ。
Oh, one more thing.
そういえば、一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる。季節外れの転入生までは、青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか。
Up, there we go.
There was one student that wasn't in your dragnet. Forgot to include any out-of-term transfers.
Aoko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her investigation.
そんなわけで、その字に関しては調べてないぜ。
So I haven't looked at Sono G.
まあ、あいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうが。いや、人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ、家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえから。
Oh my god.
Oh, considering it's him, it's safe to assume that he was working late. Or, wait. It would be if he hadn't had mentioned something about, I don't know, seeing a murder or whatever else. Probably nothing. No big deal, nothing important. I told him it was probably just a bad dream.
Wow. You are literally, absolutely not. He is a lethal friend to have.
Let me just go give you a social security number, a home address, and a list of his fears. Yeah, there you go. Well, out of my hands. What a good friend I am. Do.
Tobimaru cheerfully left the student council room. Oh. What? Simultaneously, Aoko felt her fingers go numb. And the documents she was holding spilled all over the table.
そんな、まさかね。
It can't be. That's not possible. Oh shit. She was not prepared to kill him because I wonder if she deep down realizes that she likes him. She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that there must be some kind of mistake. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut would simply not go away. Perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
You gotta be kidding me. And yet she knew what she had to do. She would not have hesitated to kill Tobimaru if he had been... Oh my god. But what if it was who she was thinking of? Just considering the possibility caused her blood to run cold. Aoko put her forehead in her hands and began to brood. And then, suddenly... Ooh.
Let us talk choice. You will always be faced with choices. A virtuous fool and a wicked sage. You cannot save both. You must pick one. That is the freedom granted to you.
2 years earlier, Aoko muttered the words offered by her grandfather. I was right for once! The day she replaced her elder sister as a successor and let out a sigh of lament.
すごくバカみたい。
This has to be a joke. She laughed at her own intuition. But it was no joke. If only those words had never been said. Aoko locked up the student council room and left for the day. Calmly, as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the halls. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. There were still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy with the chattering of students who had finished the day but not yet at home. Others still had club activities. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but nobody seemed to pay it any mind.
すごくバカみたい。
Oh, I almost accidentally pressed a button. Amidst the clamor, Aoko hastened to the school gate. She passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about their after-school plans. Apparently, they were adamant about maximizing their free time. Oh, they're trying to... Oh my god, they're also being persona protagonists. She could not figure out how they could possibly be so irresponsibly focused on fun, but at the same time was in no mood to make fun or feel envious of them. Two short years prior, she had been just like them.
根は冷めてるのかな、私って。
I wonder if I'm becoming desensitized to it all. She retied her scarf, this time more tightly, to give off an air of solitude. She was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is rejection.
そうよね。孤独っていうのはああいうのを言うもんでしょうし。
Solitude, rejection. They're two sides of the same coin. The area by the school gate was busier than usual. A group of boys appeared to be huddled behind it. Their transparent attempt to be discreet in terms of both location and loudness of voices did nothing to hide the fact that they were noisily arguing about a girl standing alone on the other side of the street. Hey, Alice. You following me? The girl was cloaked in a black cape. At first glance, it could have been mistaken for normal attire, but those from Misaki could tell that she wore the uniform of a prestigious girls' school. Said school had no connection to Misaki High in any way, shape, or form. Two schools were miles apart both physically and spiritually. A member of that school's student body was a rare sighting, as the majority were forced to live in the school dorm. I thought Alice was much older than that. Huh. I thought she was like, you know, maybe like almost like hundreds of year old's mage or something. Well, that's her coat. I'm pretty sure like the nun-like uniform that we've seen her in is her actual uniform. Rayan Girls Academy had a reputation as a school for princesses, and it was rare indeed for one to be slumping with the common folk. Well, yeah, I don't think this is a uniform. This is her coat. That alone would have been enough to cause the ruckus among the boys, but this girl looked the epitome of class. One could not help but describe the standing figure as charming. The way she silently, motionlessly waited was reminiscent of a meticulously composed portrait. Aoko took one look at her before instantly recalling that one word: solitude.
まったくうちの男子どもは家に帰りもせず陰でこそこそやってるのはそういうこと。
Okay, you lame brains, don't you have anywhere better to be? Disgusted, Aoko barged through the gate. At this point, she would normally head home, but today she crossed the street toward the waiting girl.
あれなるは生徒会長様
Oh crap, is that the student council president?
そ、おっぱらう気なのかよ。痛いんならいつまでだっていさせてあげればいいじゃんか。
Damn it, she's trying to chase her away. Let the girl be. She has a right to stand there if she wants to.
てか怒られる？怒られるのあの天使。
She's gonna go nuclear. President versus the angel.
よその生徒でも校門前にいるぐらいなら別に問題はないと思うけど。
What gives, man? Who cares if she's from another school? She's not even on school property, right? Guys? Right, guys?
青子女子は容赦ねえからな。下手すると平手だぜ、平手。
No, this is Alice. The brunette girl is Aoko, is the main character.
Don't mess with Madame Aoko. You're just asking to be smacked.
The boys ran their mouths behind her back, not in the mood to shut them up. Aoko walked right up to the girl and offered an informal wave.
どうしたのアリス？こんなところに来たって何も面白いことはないって言ったのに。
Something the matter, Alice? I told you before there's nothing of interest for you here.
ありえね
For real?
Aoko heard the boys by the gate lose their collective minds and did her best to ignore them.
あのことを確かめに。
I wanted to be
Aoko.
sure, but... Aoko?
あの人たち邪魔なんだけど。
Those people are a nuisance.
分かってる。今追っ払うから。
You think? I'll chase him off. In contrast to Alice's small voice, Aoko spoke loud and clear. Naturally, this was on purpose, to deal with the riffraff by the gate all at once.
会長こっち来んぞ
Crap, she's coming this way.
おい押すなよ後ろのやつどけって俺校舎に逃げるから
Hey, stop pushing me. Move it. I'm out.
いやでもあの子会長と知り合いなんでしょうまく会長に紹介してもらうとか
But, doesn't it look like they're tight? Maybe we can get the press to introduce us.
さすが一年坊主まだ戦場の現実ってもんを理解していねえよし死の間際までいい夢見ろよ
Rookie mistake. You still haven't experienced the realities of the battlefield. On second thought, don't let dreams be dreams.
It's your funeral.
Perhaps because too many of them had gathered in one place, the mob entered a frenzied panic as they tried to escape. Aoko addressed them all.
さーて、部活動があるわけでもなし、ただ家に帰るだけの帰宅部の皆さん、こんなところで何を集まってるのか教えてくれる？
Well, well, well. What do we have here? If it isn't the Go Home Early Club. Would you mind telling me what you're all doing gathered in a place like this with no club activities to attend? Student council president stared daggers at the boys.
何しろ試験前だもの。
In any case, exams are coming up.
身になることなら私も教えてほしいけど、まさかガン首並べて女学院のお嬢様を眺めてただけなんてことはないわよね。
It sure would be horrible if, instead of going home to study, you were loitering around just to ogle another school student, now wouldn't it?
声をかける勇気もなくて眺めてただけなんてことは。
It's not like a single one of you guys had the guts to even go up to her and say something. Ooh. Not one of them was brave enough to admit that this hit the nail on the head. If any of them had such courage, they would have already been chatting the young lady up.
いや僕教室にちょっと忘れ物が
I think I forgot something in the classroom.
こんなオチならダメ元で玉砕しとくんだった
If I had known it was gonna end like this, I would have at least gone down trying.
天文部に行って双眼鏡借りるのどうだ屋上からお顔を賜るとか
Don't be such creepers!
What if we go borrow binoculars from the astronomy club? I'm sure we get a good view from the roof.
天文部にそんなのねえよあるとしたら野鳥同好会じゃね
The astronomy club doesn't have binoculars, dummy. If anybody does, it'd be the Wild Bird Society.
それ先月会長が潰したじゃん鳥めでてる暇があるなら彼女作れって
Seriously.
The press destroyed those last month. Enough time for bird watching, enough time to find a girl for a chicken.
ああ彼女作れですかすみませんっす今日は裏口から帰るっすザキさん
Find a girlfriend? Sorry, Zaki. I'm gonna cut out through the back exit.
くそ、じゃあな会長、また明日。
I gotta get shit too! Later, Press. See you tomorrow.
And with those oh so charming remarks, the boys scattered with their tails between their legs.
楽しそうね、青子。
You seem to be enjoying yourself, Aoko.
あ、わかる？
How could you tell? Aoko's response slipped out all too easily. In truth, there were not that many bad apples at Misaki High, and dealing with them wasn't really all that bad.
で、
So,
ここまで出向くってことは何かわかったの？
what brings you down here? Did you find something out?
結界に残っていた気配の識別は、あとはここで確かめればいいだけよ。
I identified traces of the witness from within the field. All we need to do now is put a name to them.
そう。ん？アリス、いつからここに？
I see. Alice? How long have you been waiting here?
下校時刻から。
Since school was dismissed. So she had been here for roughly an hour. Standing in the same place for an hour would be taxing for someone as sensitive as the cold as Alice.
悪いわね、無理させて。
I'm sorry. If you would have told me.
別に好きでやってることだから。
Okay, it really doesn't seem like they hate each other. Don't be. I'm just doing it because I wanted to. As she spoke, her black eyes were fixed upon the gate and the students passing through it. She had likely been observing the gate in this manner for the past hour.
私を待ってたわけじゃないんでしょ？今からでも付き合うわ。
You weren't waiting for me, were you? Well, I'm here now anyway, so we can go. Alice nodded in assent. If Alice was still here, it meant that she had not found the witness yet. She had found the student. Alice would have already gone home ahead of Aoko and begun to research the student's background.
私の方はダメだった。
Nothing came up on my end. Oh, nothing came up on my end. She reported the results of Tofimaru's investigation. Alice remained silent. Oh, she's lying. Or rather, she's lying to both herself and Alice. But that conversation ended, leaving two to silently endure the freezing wind. The silent stakeout dragged on endlessly. Students continued to pass the gate, each docked at the side of the unusual combo, and headed home, it should be. After 20 minutes, Aoko let a sigh escape her mouth. Perhaps from boredom, perhaps from the cold, or perhaps from both.
ねえ、アリス。帰り黎明に寄ってかない？
Hey, on our way home, do you want to drop by Dawn? Is that a karaoke bar? Or is that a person? Aoko quickly turned to Alice to catch a reaction. Oh, it's a coffee shop. Okay, I see. Dawn was the name of one of Aoko's favorite coffee shops. Offering no clear indication as to whether she was critical of Aoko's blasé attitude or agreeing with their whims, Alice's gaze shifted ever so slightly. Aoko followed her stare.
あれ、青崎も待ち合わせか？
Ooh. Is she gonna see something about him? Hey, Alzaki. You meeting someone here too? Sudden voice took her off guard. There was only one person who spoke with this gentle, good-natured tone. Dun dun dun!
そう。やっぱそうなるわけか。
Of course it'd be him. Turning her back to Alice, Aoko moved her focus to the newly appeared student.
それで、今日は何の用？
Can I help you with something? All politeness flew out the window. Already in a bad mood, Aoko's mood plummeted to the longer she looked at Soujirou. The subtlety of her expression, however, was lost on him.
いや、これから駅前で水泳部の部長と待ち合わせなんだけど、そのことでお礼を言っておきたくて。
No thanks. I was just on my way to the station to meet the swimming club captain. And I wanted to say thanks.
Well, that was completely unexpected. Thanks? Joining a club? Aoko had hunched that he was about to say something brainless.
ふーん。お礼って、お礼参りってこと？
And by thanks, you mean payback, right?
Huh?
Fortunately, Soujirou is completely unaware of the more sinister implications of the word payback.
よくわからないけど、そんな大したことじゃないよ。
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but it's no big deal.
ただ、水泳部は夏までそう忙しくないって話だったから。
It's just that the swimming club captain said the club doesn't get that busy until summer.
Soujirou was just about to thank her for recommending a club that would not take up much of his time, when Aoko cut him off with an expression of disinterest.
当然でしょ。幽霊部員になりそうな生徒なんて紹介できないから。忙しいあなたでも務まりそうな場所があったから口に出しただけよ。
Well, of course. I couldn't very well introduce you to a club that I knew you would never turn up to. All I did was mention something that even someone as busy as you could join.
なるほど、無駄がないね。
I see. Very efficient.
His open admiration for her sapped Aoko's will to fight. Finding a suitable club and negotiating with its captain hadn't been an efficient use of her time at all.
とにかくお世話になったから、それで礼を言っときたくて。
Anyway, you've really helped me out. I just wanted to say thanks.
Soujirou gratefully dipped his head, but not before the flustered Aoko stopped him.
よしてよ。今あなたにそんなことされても迷惑だから。
Give me a break. You're just gonna keep giving me a headache if you do that.
それで、水泳部はどう？やっていけそう？
So, how's the swimming club? Does it seem like a good fit? And as an awkwardness infiltrated her previously sharp gaze, Soujirou was able to pick up on the odd change in her behavior, but could not define its reason. So he simply started with what he knew so far, and reported the most recent information he had.
ああ、水泳部はクビになった。
Oh, I got kicked out of the club already.
What?!
なんでよ
What? Why? Aoko instinctively shouted at the unexpected response. Like a human Jack in the Box. The unexpected development threw her mind into tizzy, and she momentarily forgot the complicated feelings she'd been wrestling with.
だって今から待ち合わせだって。
But you just said you were on your way to meet the captain!
それは、これからヤシロギの温水プールに連れて行ってくれるからだよ。
Yeah, the captain's taking me to a heated pool in Yashiroki.
Soujirou stated this very matter-of-factly to the still reeling Aoko.
話がつながらない。そこまでうまくいってるのに、どうして入部を拒否されるのよ、あんたは。
I'm not following. Things seem to be going fine. Why would they kick you out?
そりゃ俺が泳げないからだろ。
Of course he can't swim if he's from the mountains. He probably never had anywhere he could even try to swim. Like, he probably got his drinking water from like rivers and shit. Not from any lakes. Oh my god.
Oh, that's easy. Because I can't swim.
Aoko reached up with her fingers and pinched the bridge of her nose as she processed his answer.
しずきくん、昨日の私の質問は覚えてる？走るのか泳ぐのか、どっちがいいかってやつ。
Oh my god, yes, she even asked him this. He's probably gonna say something like,
Yeah, I meant which sport do I like better to watch? Probably swimming.
oh my god. Suzuki, do you remember my question from yesterday? The one where I asked whether you preferred running or swimming?
私の記憶は正しいけど、一応確認しておくわね。
I'm confident that I remember your answer, but please repeat it to me.
あなた、確かに泳ぐ方だって言ったけど。
You said you preferred swimming, right?
ああ、昔から泳げないのはなんとか克服したかったんだ。反対に走る方は得意だけど。
Yeah. Since I was little, I've always wanted to learn. And I'm already really good at running, so...
Oh my god. Her energy spent, Aoko finally understood.
俺が1年なら1から鍛えてくれたらしいんだけど。
Aww. Oh, that's sad. Hello, Oddjars. Welcome to the stream.
Apparently they would have taken me in and trained from square one if I were in my first year.
あと3ヶ月で3年になる身分なのに、金槌の部員は雇えないそうだ。
Damn, he's transferring like so late. I'm guessing the story is gonna go into their senior year.
Sadly, it sounds like they can't recruit a second year like me, who sinks like a rock. Especially with only 3 months left in the school year.
けど部長が親身になってくれて、これから泳ぎを教えてくれることになったんだよ。
Oh.
But the captain was really nice about it, and even offered to teach me how to swim.
Sojirou's words were spoken from a place of joy, a fact that failed to reach Aoko.
はあ、つまり欠陥品を売りつけたってわけか。こりゃ水泳部の部長に合わす顔がないと。ちょっと待った。
So in other words, I tried to palm off defective goods. I'll never be able to show my face to swimming club captain again. Wait, but isn't the captain a...
しずきくん、水泳部の部長って。
Captain what? Suzuki. The swimming club captain is... She stopped herself short of a girl. She was afraid how that might look. Thought she might not be able to rein herself in when she started. Ooh,
もういいわ。
oh my
気持
god.
ちは分かったから、どこか遠くにいてくれない？
Ooh,
少し疲れてて
jealousy.
とてもじゃないけどあなたの相手はしていられないの。
Damn, she fell hard and fast. My god. Even if she doesn't realize it yet. You know what? It doesn't matter. I understand now, so you can just go. Far, far from here. Okay? I just can't deal with you right now.
飛び丸もそんなことを言ってたな。青崎は昨日と今日珍しく疲れてるって。何かあったのか？
Tobimara said the same thing, come to think of it.
Oh, he's gonna mention the night before, right in front of Alice.
He said that you were unusually tired yesterday and today. Did something happen?
ちょっとね。でもいいの。解決したみたいだから。
Kind of. But it's fine. It seems to have resolved itself.
それより、しずきくんはどう見える？私、そんなに疲れて見えるのかな？
Anyway, how do I look to you, Suzuki? Do I really look that exhausted? Why had she asked him this? Blurting out things for no reason on impulse. This was not usual for Aoko. Perhaps it's because she realized this would be their last chance to have a normal conversation. After a few moments of contemplation, Soujirou conjured up a grin that could cut straight through the tension.
そうだな。疲れているというより生き生きしているように見える。仕方なく畑を耕していた狼は久しぶりに狩りに出ることになって機嫌を上げている感じだ。
Oh, damn. You poor, sweet summer child.
Well, I would say you look more lively than you do tired. Like a wolf that's been forced to plow fields for a long time, but is excited to finally go on a hunt again.
He seemed so cheerful. Like he was so happy for her. Without thinking, Aoko's hands went to her cheeks. If what he said were true, then she was grinning from ear to ear. There was just no way she would have made such a mistake.
とにかくありがとう。じゃあ、また明日。
Okay, so he didn't mention the night before.
Anyway, thanks again. See you tomorrow.
Sure I will, yeah. Perhaps still not comfort enough to wave to her, he said his goodbye with sincerity in his voice and smile, and took his leave.
待って。こんな話があるの。聞いてから言って。
Ooh, let's see. Wait. I have a question for you. Then you can go. Aoko called out after him. Her voice was cold as she admonished herself for having been somewhat affable earlier.
Yeah?
意味のない例え話よ。
This is just a hypothetical question.
そうね。あなたが空腹で死にそうな時、目の前に同じように空腹で死にそうな2匹の動物がいるとするわ。
Let's say you're on the brink of starvation, and right in front of you are two animals also starving.
しずきくんに銃をあげる。それでどちらかの動物を撃って。右はライオンで、左は子猫。選ぶのはあなたの自由だから。
Someone gives you a gun and tells you to shoot one of them. The one on the right is a lion. The one on the left is a kitten. What do you do? It was a fable-like moral dilemma, especially the way it was cruel and rather preachy. Kind of, if you thought too hard about it, you would never find an answer. Soujirou answered quickly and calmly. Damn, what a question. Jeez.
いや、撃たないと思うよ。だって自分の好きにしていいんだろ。それにほら、空腹ならお互い様だ。
I don't think I'd shoot at all. You asked me what I'd do, right? And come on, all three of us are starving.
He was not in the least bit fazed by the dilemma. He gave the most innocent response. So innocent, in fact, that would give anyone pause.
長生きするわ、あなた。
You're gonna live a long life, Suzuki.
すごいセリフだな。そんなことを言われたのは多分君が初めてだ。
Huh? You think so? I think that's the first time anyone has ever said that to me.
Adorning his face with a smile wholly out of sync with his comment.
何よそれ。
What the heck is that supposed to mean? She regretted stopping him. If only she had just watched him go, this conversation would have never happened. Soujirou Suzuki made his way down the sloped street. Today, just like every day, he probably had to work late again. Only Aoko and Alice remained, with Alice doing what she could to simply blend in.
つくづくこっちのペースを乱してくれるわね。あの人畜無害の田舎者は。
That harmless hick really throws me for a loop. Aoko clenched her right fist tightly as she cursed out loud. Anything to prevent herself from screaming at the top of her lungs. Whether that scream would be directed towards Soujirou or toward herself was another matter entirely.
Aoko.
Aoko heard Alice's soft voice behind her. Aoko knew what she was going to say, as she had known for the entire time. Ever since Alice, having shown no reaction to any of the other students, changed her expression upon seeing Soujirou.
You
don't need to say it. It's him, right? The witness. Her voice was as cold as ice. It was the voice of someone talking about a complete stranger. The lion and the kitten. There are pros and cons to choosing either of these animals. The point being that she had asked him to choose one of them. In terms of risk, the lion was the more dangerous choice. The instant the gun was pointed out, there wasn't the chance it would fight back. Those who choose the lion required more courage. Any sense of guilt that came with holding a gun would be forgotten. Lions were fierce creatures. A poor excuse to shoot an animal, perhaps, but one that certainly helped alleviate the guilt. What about the kitten, the weaker creature? Goes without saying the kitten would be the easier target of the two, but choosing it would be a disquieting decision for anyone. Even if the kitten had no chance to survive, it was still too senseless to carry out. And to Aoko, Soujirou was that choice. I knew it was him too. When she had felt that sinking feeling in the student council room, she ignored it. There was no getting around what must be done, she told herself. Until, that is, Soujirou went and said what he did, causing her resolve to waver. But the discomfort in her chest did not stem from any guilt she may have felt. She could care less for Soujirou. He was weak, and would be incredibly easy to deal with. Yet for some reason she could not dispel her reservations. A transfer student who moved to the city from the middle of nowhere, with no family to speak of. Few would notice if he were to suddenly disappear, compared to a person of some renown. If she were to kill him, it would be as simple as wringing a cat's neck. And it all served to just piss her off. It was too lucky, like everything was neatly handed to her. She wanted to just drop kick it right into orbit. I can't believe it. I hate it. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Why am I like this? Standing behind her, Alice heard all of the muttering. Nevertheless, she seemingly ignored it and said, "Oh my god, somebody finally noticed." He had something wrapped around his neck. A wholly unrelated topic. Aoko returned to her senses. His neck? Yes. Oh my god! I wonder if it had something to do with being rejected by the swimming club. Alice has put much thought into this as if it had a deeper meaning to her somehow. Oh, good god.
そういえば、あいつ初めて会った時も首に布巻いてたっけ？襟を行儀よく締めてるから目立たないけど。
At least we're finally talking about this. Now that you mention it, I saw him wearing the same thing the first time we met. I must have missed it because he was always has his collar done up. The conversation turned to idle nonsense. And though it solved none of her current problems, it did help calm Aoko's frazzled nerves.
Thank you. 落ち着いたわ、アリス。
Thanks, Alice. I'm good.
それと、気合も入った。
I'm ready to go.
善は急げ。あいつが言いふらす前に決着をつけよう。
Let's strike while the iron's hot and end this before he spreads any rumors. Pumped once more, Alice turned it back to the school gate. For now, They retire to the mansion and prepare for battle. Damn. All right, you guys. I'll wait until some text
いい
comes
け
in.
どいつどこで彼を殺すの？
All right, you guys. So, okay, here, wait, I can do a proper save here. Yeah. Okay, there we go. We're gonna have to stop here for now. Oh my god, here I thought Alice had like noticed something like magical about him. I guess not though. Oh my god, wow. Aoko really fell for him pretty hard. And she does not understand it at all. How she felt. Which is kind of crazy. I wonder when she's gonna figure it out. Alright, you guys. And I also wonder what's gonna happen when they try to kill him. So obviously something's gonna go wrong. Until next time. In 2 days. And also tomorrow's more Cold Steel. I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You're all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.